Hey, everybody. We're still waiting for CeCe. I don't know if something happened. I've been in communication with her this week and she is supposed to be here, so I'm really hoping that nothing is wrong. Um, don't worry if for some reason we have to reschedule this, we will reschedule this. But for right now, I can go through some of the housekeeping stuff in case she hopefully pops in. Oh, Ted made it. Okay, so all these lovely people are here. Oh, somebody said, oh, if you guys are looking in the chat, service has been out nationwide on some networks and Wi-Fi. Verizon is down all day. So, like, if she has, yes, Amanda, the tech ghost, CeCe, if any of you, I'm gonna be here for the hour. Whatever. We can still have a little chat. We can do a little our own Q&A. I can talk to you about how great she is. I've taken 4 of her classes. Um, Luckily, this didn't cost you anything. So here we are. I'm on the East Coast too, Wendy. Um, uh, anyway, so I did send her an email and I sent her a DM on Instagram. But if she doesn't have connectivity, okay, so whatever. We're gonna just wing it because do you know what? In the publishing world, this is what happens. The unexpected. Same thing in apparently um oh, hi Karen, I'll take it away. Let's rock the hour, right? Let's rock the hour, everybody. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you why I love CeCe. How do we do this? We can send her this recording when we're done of all the accolades that we have for her. And she has, for those of you who don't know, she does a podcast called The Shit No One Tells You About Writing. And they have 4 million downloads, like crazy. How many? I might be a million of, maybe not. I'm just crossing my fingers. I know she's going to be mortified. I'm just hoping she's okay. She could be in a cookie eating coma because she does love her cookies, chocolate chip, by the way. And Wendy's taken her classes and is doing the deep dive. I am doing the deep dive as well, Wendy. I just signed up for it yesterday. So I've taken, I think 4 of her classes now. There's a class called, and I know, okay. So let's just talk about something else. The pink elephant in the room. We have Symposium, which we have our own classes, and yet I'm talking about CeCe's classes. And that's because I am a learning junkie. And I feel like you can never learn enough. And so probably why I write historical fiction, because I love to learn. So the classes I've taken are like starting it right, where she talks about like how to enter the story with interiority. And I think as somebody who came from the screenwriting space, and I don't know how many of you here are screenwriters first and looking to write novels, I'd always love to know that. Um, I started off screenwriting, but always wanted to be a novelist. So now I'm kind of doing it backwards. So now, you know, what did I say to somebody the other day? I feel like at my age, I'm like Marissa Tomei and My Cousin Vinny with my foot stomping. Like, like I got to get this done before, I croak. So anyway, she's got a starting at right class, and all of these are offered like different times of the year, like not, you know, they're not on demand. So you take them live, and she will like 3.5 hours long each session, 4 sessions per class. I mean, like crazy, like writing tension. And she's got a new one, hacking writing on the line level is amazing. And she's got a new one coming up in March, writing interiority and psychological acuity. So in taking her classes, I realized, my God, y'all need to hear what she has to say because it's a tiny little bit, just like the hour, like a tiny little bit of time compared to what she does in her work. Um, okay, so somebody asked her classes teach how to attract a lit agent for screenwriters. No, her classes are really about novel writing. I did listen to an episode of the podcast today where, because they do, like she and Carly will go out to California to talk to producers and, book to film agents and stuff like that. So she's familiar with the screenwriting space and does pitch her clients' work for that. But they do not talk about agents for screenwriters. That's like a whole other. And actually, if I may say, screenwriters, you should be looking for managers, not agents, because the agent isn't going to come around to you unless you've got a deal happening. So the manager is the one who's going to help you. This is the next script you could write. This is where we can take it. Here's also something else I discovered today as I was obsessively listening to the shit no one tells you about writing. If you subscribe to their paid Substack, there is a gigantic 300-page document that is just Q&A, like literally just Q&A. It is like a gold mine, worth subscribing just for that. Okay, so somebody asked about if I have any insights on whether a story should be a script or a screenplay, like a screenplay or a novel. I've written both. I would say that the big difference between the two is how important interiority is to your story. In screenwriting, you can't crawl in people's heads, but in novel writing, you can. So that's the beautifully liberating thing for any screenwriters who might be out there who want to dip your toe into novel writing. That is one of the benefits of novel writing. There's also the question of, when you talk about what medium you should tell your story in, is it a novel? Is it a feature script? Is it a TV show? Is it a limited series? So if you write something as a feature, you can always write it as a feature, use that as an outline for your novel, maybe add some subplots or whatever to make it bigger. Or you could write it as a limited series if you want it to be TV, but you don't think there's going to be enough episodes worth a TV show, because a TV show, they're going to want to have at least 100 episodes. So if you don't think you can milk that many episodes out of that story, then just do it as a feature or a limited series if screenwriting is your jam, or write it as a novel. The one thing I did hear was on one of the episodes when they went out to the screenwriting space, this is what's very different about the two. Very difficult to publish a set of short stories, but Hollywood really wants short stories, even if they're unpublished. So it's so this person said it's their first symposium event. I'd love to hear more about your background. Okay, that's easy to do. I personally used to be the editor-in-chief of Script Magazine for like 10 years, and wrote a column called Balls of Steel, which Universal Studios recommended people read. That was really, I loved being over there. But then, and I also worked at Writer's Digest. And then I came over to Pipeline. Pipeline has been started as Script Pipeline 26 years ago now, as a screenwriting contest. And we have now ballooned out to Script Pipeline, where we have contests for screenwriting and for feature films and TV, and also then Film Pipeline, which we have amazing short films that we pick from our contest, and short film scripts, and Book Pipeline, which does a contest for unpublished work with lots of different categories, even including comic and graphic novels. And the categories are all based on the genres. And where we then, those winners, we pitch agents for them to try to help them get agents. And then we also have an adaptation contest for Book Pipeline that is for published work that we think would make a great movie. And then we pitch our connections in the film space, because we have those connections after 26 years of experience there. And then when I came on, we launched Pipeline Artists, which is our content site, which we have a bunch of articles about the arts, all the different mediums, and then Symposium. So this is, I think, our 4th year of Symposium. And we try to keep things online, conference in the arts, and we try to keep things affordable. And our team is all full of writers ourselves. So we stay in touch with our winners for a very long time. Like, I even have writers who write for me on Pipeline Artists who were finalists in our contest 10 years ago. So we stay in touch. Let's see. Oh, the Substack that I mentioned was the shit no one tells you about writing Substack. Oh, oh
Putting my earrings on.
my
I'm
God,
so
there
sorry.
she is. Oh my
Did you
God.
see my message?
What
Did you see my
did
message
I?
on Instagram?
Oh, no, no, because I was doing this. So
But
that's
you
okay.
messaged me.
I did message you,
It
but
says
I,
8 for me. My invitation. I even shared a
oh my
screenshot with
gosh.
you. Like it says 8 p.m. I promise you. Like I was like, I'm going crazy. So then I opened my not my Instagram. I opened my email and it says 8 p.m. Like the Zoom
Oh my
email. I sent
gosh.
it to you. I
Oh
promise. I
my
promise I'm not
gosh.
going
What the
crazy.
heck? What the heck? I'm gonna, okay, can I just say this, CeCe? As somebody who's taken 4 of your classes,
I'm so sorry.
no, it's not you. It's the tech ghost. Like it is
It is
right.
that ghost. I hadn't even made that connection. But
Yes,
why
it
do you
has
have
felt
it in? Oh my God, that's so rude, tech ghost. I kept people
no,
waiting.
I know.
Wait,
This
so
no,
so so you guys started at 7 and like you've been
been
I'm gonna
just
stop saying
winging
I'm
it.
sorry so we can get into it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just winging it. So I've also been singing your praises, and we have a lot of your class, your people who've taken the classes that I've taken. I've taken 4. I'm a little bit obsessed. I know I'm like fangirling over here. So I'm gonna, oh yeah, you can. Okay,
I
so
was
I'm
supposed to
gonna,
look a lot more put together, and I'm sorry. But again, like I was putting on my earring as I was logging on, like just being like, at least earrings, you know?
oh my
Anyway,
God, I love
it's
you.
fine. It's fine. It
I
doesn't
love you.
matter
It's
because I'm
fine.
here
It's
now.
fine. Okay, so here's the thing I also say to myself, and this is how I'm live my life, is that if something happens, like I always say, is this beyond my control? Because if it's beyond my control, I have to just let it go. And then also, it's is this the thing I'm going to be thinking about on my deathbed? Like, no, it's not. This is fine. No one is going to be like saying, "Oh my God, CeCe, how could you?" No one. They're going to be just so happy with everything we're talking about.
I
So don't
hope.
worry. Okay,
Although
so
although you mentioned things one controls, perhaps exorcism of the ghost. We have to look
yes.
into.
And
Yeah.
I will say that a completely random side note, I have an antique shop as well as my job over here, and my
Uh,
shop is haunted. So I'm
is it
going
a
to
friendly
ask
ghost?
friendly, like 9 of them. I am going to ask Matthew, the best ghost down there, to get rid of this tech problem.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that is very kind.
He'll take care of it. He'll take
That's
care of it.
very kind. That's
He'll take
very
care of
kind.
it. So so what I'm gonna do is let's formally start this.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's
I'm here.
formally
I'm here
start
and I'm
this.
pretending like
Okay.
nothing happened. Like I'm
Yeah,
put
we'll
together and
just
yes,
we
hello.
could we could leave all of what I did initially in the recording just to freak people out and then have you magically appear.
Yeah, let's do
Um,
that.
let's do that. Okay. So welcome to our one-on-one with Cecilia CeCe Lyra. So I'm gonna read her bio because in case any, like maybe 2 people out of the 500 don't know who she is. Um, CeCe is a literary agent at Wendy Sherman Associates, representing adult fiction and nonfiction. She's drawn to books with strong hooks and smooth writing, told with originality, nuance, and authenticity. A long-term strategic thinker, CeCe prioritizes the creative reach and sustainable longevity of her authors' careers, and she's especially looking for clients with whom she can build fruitful, lasting relationships. Both a storyteller and a story seller, CeCe believes that stories are empathy generating machines capable of healing, connecting, and enacting true change. As a mixed race Latinx immigrant, CeCe understands the power of seeing oneself reflected in books, hence her passion for championing under or misrepresented voices and narratives that contribute to a larger cultural conversation. She's a member of the Association of American Literary Agents, the popular podcast The Shit No One Tells You About Writing, for which CeCe is co-host and has over 4 million downloads. She's also a recovering lawyer, but asks that you do not hold that against her. So
Yes, please don't. Please don't hold it
no,
against.
no, no, no one has anything good to say about lawyer.
I
Well,
know.
unless they're a really good lawyer. So people have, I'm sure, a ton of questions. So you guys put your questions in the Q&A box. We're going to get to them, but I want to go over a couple of things first. As I was mentioning earlier, I've taken 4 of her classes, which are amazing. And we're going to tell you later about one that she's got upcoming in March. But CeCe, I want to talk to you about there's certain themes that constantly pop up between the podcast and your classes, and the terms interiority,
Mm,
curiosity seeds, zooming
mm.
in, zooming out, and
Yeah.
plot points versus vibes.
Yes.
And I think the first class I took with you was the um, starting it right, which
Yeah,
was
I love
actually a
that class. Yeah.
perfect first class because
Yeah.
I was starting it right. So can you talk about the importance of interiority in the opening page?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I like to frame interiority as an introductory sort of thing is we need to remember as professionals in the publishing industry that our jobs is to grab readers' attentions. Whether you're a storyteller or an agent or an acquiring editor, like we all have the same common goal, which is I need to grab someone's attention. And in our world, it is very hard to grab people's attentions because we all have the attention span of moths, and because competition for distraction and entertainment. And at the end of the day, that's what a book is doing, distracting and entertaining people. Competition is fierce. We have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have, HBO and TikTok and all these really like jazzy, bite-sized content available. And books, however, require us to slow down our brains, to use our imagination. And one of the really, really special things about books that they have is interiority. Whereas a movie or a TV show will have soundtrack and lighting and actors and makeup, and that's just naming a few things. They have all these things, all these production things going on for them to make a story come to life. We only get words. And the most essential part of the all the storytelling techniques is interiority because it's the one thing a book has that a movie or a film or TV show or TikTok doesn't have. Like I'm here talking to
Mm,
you. You guys can hear my voice, you can hear my movements, you can see my earrings, but you don't know what I'm thinking. Like you have no idea what I'm thinking. And interiority is access to your protagonist's psyche as they're processing
mhm,
information in an interesting way, of course. It can't just be boring processing. Interiority is inner life. It's thoughts, emotions, the way you process emotions, opinions, anticipation, everything that has to do with thoughts. And there's so many examples, which I won't break down unless you guys want me to. Um, and it's just a lot, and there are tiers of this. And so the really interiority is there to do two things. One is propel the story, because the protagonist is going to be processing things that are happening. But really, the most important one is connecting with character. We need to imprint with a character and we need to do it fast. And everyone else around your character knows what they're saying. Everyone else around your character can see what they're doing. And if a camera were following them, a camera could capture a whole bunch of things, but no one else and no camera could ever know what they're thinking, but the reader knows. And so the reader
mm,
feels special. It's all about insider information. Interiority offers insider information. And the way I like to describe interiority to people when they a little sometimes a little skeptical about like, well, why is that so important? I'm like, consider this. Wouldn't you be terrified if people knew what you were thinking? Because I would. Like, not all the time, true, but during all the interesting moments in my life, I'd be terrified. And wouldn't you do anything to find out what people are thinking during really interesting moments? Because again, I would. We always say I'd love to be a fly on the wall to listen. Fly in a mind, that's way more interesting, and that's what a book does.
mhm. Yeah, and a lot of our audience, I was explaining to the people earlier, we started this company started off with the screenwriting space, and I did too. I was editor in chief of Script Magazine for 10 years, so like I was writing screenplays. So to me, the interiority is the beauty and the freedom of writing novels. Like it's
Yeah.
like as a recovering screenwriter, it's like, oh my God, like, oh, I get to get in their head. It's the
You
most
get to be
fabulous
God.
thing.
Like that's what you get to
Yeah,
be, God. Like
yeah,
that's it.
yeah. So also too, and we're going to get to everybody's questions too, but the other thing that I always hear you talking about is developing your palette, and and about learning and evaluating and taking your job as a writer from hobby to career to really what you want, and the
Mhm.
challenges of that, and what is really needed for people that they're not thinking about. They're just mostly thinking, oh, I'm going to write a book, I got to write a book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that, developing your palette, and how to be a little bit self-taught for like those people who have not gone to MFA programs?
100%. And listen, even if you have gone to an MFA program, what I'm saying applies because it does not substitute developing a palette. It just doesn't. It can be a conduit for that, but you still need to. be intentional about it. So, what do I mean when I say develop a palate? I always like this analogy. Like, if you were to, I don't know, open up a restaurant, right? Not just a restaurant, but a restaurant with like all original recipes, you want to be a star, like you're a chef, that's your dream. You would not expect the journey of this, top chef you're going to be have an idea for the recipe, mix the ingredients to create said recipe, achieve success. Like that just wouldn't be your expectation. Even if you were already doing a really good job in your own kitchen with your friends and family and stuff, right? Cooking professionally in a restaurant setting where you're creating all original content is just different from everyday cooking and from cooking for friends and family. And I'm using this analogy because a lot of people already write and they've been writing in some form or another all their lives. And that's great. That is useful. Please be very confident and happy about that. But that does not mean you have a developed palate. A developed palate means that you have intentionally studied a lot of books. And I do mean a lot of books. Books in your genre, books outside your genre, to study the techniques that the storyteller used to achieve the result that they achieved. And it's almost like I wasn't that kid, but there are kids who like, I don't know. I remember growing up, my sister would open up the remote control to figure out how it worked inside. Like that was never me. I never really cared. I just wanted the remote control to work. But it's almost like doing that with a book, you know? Like it's like
Mm-hmm.
opening up the book, opening up the story to see how it was stitched in that way. And developing a palette has everything to do with learning to detect taste. It takes time, discipline. It takes the ability to be comfortable slowing down, which is by far the hardest thing to do because people do not want
Mm-hmm.
to slow down. Um, but the way to do it is you go to your books. I mean, you're gonna have to buy more books or take out more books from the library or whatever, but you go to books, right? And you will study them, dissect them, noting when the storyteller planted a curiosity seed, when the storyteller zoomed out to offer socio-emotional framework, when the storyteller perhaps created psychological acuity, when the storyteller left a clue that you only know that that's actually a clue because it's hidden in plain sight because you finished the book, when tension happened and how far it took for tension to become conflict, when the stakes were established, when was the complication established, when did the character
Mm-hmm.
outgrow the goal, when to create an echo, when to isolate a line. Like you will study these books like so intentionally. And you will do this not so that you can be ready to write your own recipe or your own book. We'll get to that, but that's not what you're doing. You're doing it to become an expert on taste, to become someone who can spot techniques and patterns across genres, to become someone who can reverse engineer why a story feels as it does. You're going to be a nerd. I'm very nerdy. Because yes, taste is subjective, but there is such a thing as universally appealing. Like there are universal elements to how a book is experienced. If you and I were to talk about some of our favorite books, we'd all be like, yes, I thought the same thing when I read that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the same emotion. So the universal appeal is something that you can learn how to achieve by studying many, many, many books. And by the time that you're done with that, you will have a developed palette. And based on that, you'll be able to write your own story, your own original, amazing, amazing story. The biggest mistake querying writers make, by far, is querying too early. And when I tell them this, they go, "Oh, okay, so it's my work isn't ready yet. I'm gonna go back and edit it." You can edit something forever, like for 10 years. You cannot edit it into being ready unless you have a developed palette. And part of that is like just those 10,000 hours, just spending a lot of time reading books, intentionally dissecting them, intentionally studying them. And part of that is also too understanding that throughout your career, and this is I'm sure this has happened to everyone here. I don't know how many people are here, but everyone here has experienced this at some point. There's going to be people who are going to come to you and they're going to say, "Oh, you don't get to do that," or "You're not supposed to do this," or "Oh, I heard that you can't do this other thing," when it comes to story techniques. And the beauty of having a developed palette is whenever someone tells you that, if someone says, "Oh, you can't use filter words," you're going to be like, "Really, honey? Check out these 80 books that do it." "Oh, you can't have the inciting incident happen after the X% mark." Really? Exhibit A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You're gonna be able to cite books that do it. And that's going to give you the confidence of knowing that every book is unique, every book is different, but there are patterns that happen across genres. Most of all, it'll give you internal security because from now on, every time you work on your story and you have a question, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? You'll be able to turn within and test your own inner guidance when making these artistic decisions. You'll feel confident because you're competent, because you'll be
Mm,
really standing on the shoulders of the people who came before you, right? Like you'll be standing on those
yeah,
shoulders.
yeah. I think also too, like when you were speaking, one of the things that stuck out at me, having taken your acting writing at the line level, the next book I read after that class, I think it's going to
Yeah.
take me like 6 months to read the book because I'm looking at every line, and
It
it's
does get
like,
faster, I promise, but that's a
does
good
it?
sign. Yeah, it does
It's
get
a good
faster.
sign.
No, soon you're going to be like bam, 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 bam. It's amazing how fast it gets.
And the one thing that's so beautiful about it is just appreciating and respecting the work that went into a book. Like and that's what every writer wants. They want people to look at their work and be like, oh wow, I wish I wrote that. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so a couple questions from the peeps.
Okay. Okay.
So Cassie had sent me this question, um, and I believe she's taken your classes. Um, she has a question about character goals on a scene level.
Okay.
A lot of my favorite books have great momentum, with the scenes that don't fit the structure of the quote character decides and finds out that they need X, they take Y steps which fail in Z way, which further complicates their story goal, blah blah blah. But even without that structure, I can tell the author has goals for that scene, so I know I'm in good hands. I,
Okay.
as an author, have goals for a scene, like get a character from point A to point B, introduce XYZ.
Mhm.
But should a character have a goal in every single scene? Should it be overt or physical, or can it be emotional or even unknown to the protagonist, since the character could start a conversation without being consciously aware that they're seeking validation or approval, for instance? Or does it have to follow the goal plus steps plus disaster slash dilemma formula?
Doesn't have to for sure, because I'm thinking of books that don't do it. This is what I'm talking about with the palette. I
Yeah.
immediately go, Ruman. Lots of his scenes don't follow that. So no, it doesn't have to. I think that the more commercial the writing, there are certain genres where there's these expectations of really like commercial beats. It might be expected, but that doesn't mean you can't break the rule, because as long as we're emotionally invested, it's okay. This is the like dirty little secret nobody wants to talk about. We can talk about all the rules in the world, and in my classes I do. I like give people 16 hours of like, these are all the techniques, all the at the end of the day, if I feel curious and I feel emotionally invested, you've done it. That's
Mm,
the goal. If I don't want to do something else, if I want to stay reading your book and I'm only going to have that urge if I'm feeling curious and emotionally invested, then you've won. So no, I don't think you need that. I do think that it really helps to have the protagonist experience active emotions in every scene.
mm.
I actually cannot think of a book where that's not happening. Not doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means I can't think of one, but definitely not goals.
Okay. Okay, so comps. Uh, does a comp like this book combines the suspense of author A's book title with the laugh out loud banter of author B's book title work?
Yeah, I
And
does.
if
It
you're a
really does.
mystery writer, can you use comps outside of your genre?
So I wouldn't use two comps outside of your genre just because it makes it harder. So, okay, let me backtrack. Here's the thing about comps. There are two types of comps, editorial comps and sales comps. Editorial comps are this reads like this person, and it could be the writing like this person, or it could be an element of the story, such as this person suggested. Sales comps is I am confident my book's going to sell as much as these other books. It's why you can't comp really big books because they are not realistic sales comps. You can't say it's going to be the next Crawdads because that's just not realistic. We hope it's going to be, but no one can build a P&L off of that, like a profit and loss statement. However, agents care, in my experience, much more about the editorial comps. I probably shouldn't speak on behalf of all agents, but I just know so many agents who are like, yeah, I love me a good sales comp, but I can figure that out with my client. An editorial comp I can work with. And then, if I sign the person, we can always send different sales comps when we're submitting the work. So I guess TLDR for at the agent stage, yes, it's totally fine to do the way you're mentioning, like elements of different books. But I would at least have one of them be in the same genre as yours. Because or else I'm thinking, how am I gonna position this when it comes time to pitch?
So somebody asked about, okay, so pitching and when you're querying, novellas are probably very difficult to sell. There's a screenwriter here who adapted their script into a novella, which is probably the first step to take in if you're going to change into that medium. But why is it that novellas are hard to sell? And advice to them, anybody with a novella.
Because they're hard to sell to the public, Everything that's hard to
Mm-hmm.
sell to acquiring editors, to publishers, I should say, is because readers aren't typically looking for that. Like that's the reason. Books are expensive and people like readers are just not into the novellas that much. The good news is that novellas and short stories are being adapted more and more into film and TV. So my hope is that this is going to trickle down. We're going to see a trickle down effect, and novellas are going to be hot. Um, but it's just my hope. I will say that there are also other things you can do with novellas if you have an agent. So, for example, I've seen novellas be sold as audio originals. So that's also another thing that could happen. But yeah, I think it's more because like when you sit down to read a book and the book's on the shorter side, you might not feel like you're getting enough in terms of the satisfaction. But this is me like speculating about why readers don't want it. I don't actually know. Like I don't have the power to know that.
Yeah. And you almost feel like with the people having attention spans of gnats, that maybe novellas, you know? I
It would
don't
be
know.
easier. But this is the trick. Once someone
Yeah.
imprints with a book, they want that to last long enough to justify their initial cognitive effort.
Hmm.
So if I'm going to go through cognitive labor for it to end very quickly, it might not be worth it, unconsciously speaking. This is me speculating. I
Yeah.
don't actually know because why would I know why humanity is the way it is? I have
Yeah.
theories.
I was gonna say, I think you do. I think you know a lot about why humanity is the way it is. Okay, so somebody's asking about best advice to find an agent, and they're wanting to know about finding agents' personalities. And I was actually just listening to you and Carly talking today on one of your segments of the podcast, bonus episodes or whatever, um, talking shit or whatever you call it, about those pitching events. Like they're not asked, this person is not asked about the pitching events, but I agreed with what guys were talking about because I love them. I used to help run them for Writer's Digest. But I like them because it solves that problem of finding if you're a good fit, like that spidey sense of if you like each other, if you like their personality, if you're kind of a good fit. But if you're not going to one of those, because they do cost money, um, and you're looking at the person on social media, is there any other way that you can think of to find out about the agent's personality and whether they might be a good fit for the
Interesting.
writer?
I think that this is a hard one because finding out about people's personalities takes usually like a lot of time.
Mm,
Like it's not like a database where you can like look through a database, right? I think it would require a little bit of like deep dive research. Have they been guests on any podcasts, maybe? If they have, that might be a good place to like start, kind of listen to them talk, get a feel for them.
mm,
If they're not on social media, where else would they be other than podcasts? I mean, it's hard.
mm-hmm,
Oh, depending on how long they've been doing this is unfair to like newer agents. You could potentially get a feel by researching what their clients say about them. Like in the
mm,
acknowledgement section, there's not a lot of freedom. But one thing, anyone who looks up at any book I've ever sold, like the way my clients gush about me is very specific. Like it's very specific to my cheerleading. It's very specific to the fact that I give them like so much emotional support. Like I'm there for them. They feel like a
mm,
partner, and it's part of like like what I bring to the table. And there are other agents where I'm sure, like I know I'm blanking on their name, but there's this one agent where I feel like five different clients have told her like you say you're an agent, but that's a lie. You're an editor. Like you edit my work so well. And they're not saying they're a bad agent. They're saying like you're
yeah.
even more amazing editor, like or just as amazing editor. So it's hard though because it's hard to get like a sense. I'll be honest though, I wouldn't stress about it too much. If they rep your genre, um, and they are looking for the kinds of stories that you want to sell,
Mhm.
then I think that's all you really need to do. You can get a feel for their personality when you guys talk, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like people are so, I don't know, I feel like no one has any privacy anymore these days, and it's not
Yeah.
that difficult to find out about people, but little appropriate stalking,
Yeah. Yeah, we kind
appropriate
of go through
emphasis.
this. Like as agents, it's really different. I want to recognize that it's really different. But like, I'll give you an example. At my agency, we're going out with a book, and the book has an angle of being single. And so we really wanted to reach acquiring editors who are single, or at least had like some type of like, or okay, actually, this is even better example. Tracy's book. Her book is called You, Your Husband, and His Mother. I wanted to find editors who had mother-in-law issues. So it was hard. It was hard to do that research because you can't ask, "Hi, do you not like your mother-in-law?" You know? So that took a long time. That was really organic. But it is different because, I get to actually like set up meetings with these people. I can't flat out ask them, but I can like gently sort of the conversation, kind of maybe share one story. Hopefully they'll say something else, get a feel for it. So I get that it's different, but yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so Chelsea says, CeCe, not bragging, but I've been an avid writer for my whole life, published
Okay.
my first book at age 12. And
Oh, wow.
I know my query and writing are very strong because I've gotten some full requests and great feedback for my YA fantasy, beyond sea and song. Agents have said, quote, love your writing to telling. And at the same time, to showing. So I'm confused since others have always said I'm a big shower writer, but I don't know about too showing now. Maybe too much world building and adjectives. Basically, what do you do with conflicting feedback like this from agents or workshop members? And you can expand that beyond the showing telling, but just like
Yeah, of
take,
course.
getting notes and when things have conflicting feedback.
I mean, is the feedback, I guess, I don't know if we're allowed to ask follow-up questions if they can answer, but like, are you
Yeah,
talking conflicting feedback from
Chelsea, if you can answer.
agents?
I
Like,
think
or
so. When she's
conflicting,
querying.
yeah.
And
Okay.
she also said agents or workshop members.
Okay, because workshop members, okay, I'm going to answer the two different things. So,
Okay.
beta readers. I love beta readers. I love critique partners. They're an essential part of the writing process. And please, 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 please don't think that I'm saying anything bad about them. Like, I am going to say something bad, but please don't think that I mean it in a macro umbrella way. Beta readers don't sell books. I will repeat. Beta readers don't sell books. Okay? Just like you have to have a developed palate to be a good author, you have to have a developed palate to be a good beta reader. Very few people have developed palates. I know this because I get slush piles. Maybe 1% of the people who query me actually have developed palate. It shows. It shows. So chances are your beta readers don't have a developed palate. Sorry, just saying. If they can back up what they're saying, like too much showing. Look at these three other books. They sit next to your books. Notice how they're showing different. Listen to them. If they can't do that, just ignore them. Seriously, ignore them. Like they mean well, they love you, I get it, but like there's some just really bad things that happen because of beta readers. And I'm saying this with all the love to beta readers in the world, and I'm pro beta readers. I want to make this clear. But I'm not pro outsourcing your brain. Okay?
Mm,
Someone gives you feedback on your book, they need to be able to support it. Support it with other books that they have read, and that's why they feel the way they feel. Okay? It can't be, oh, it's fine for them to say things like, I was bored during this section. They don't have to support that.
hmm
That's an emotion. But if they're saying you're showing too much, okay, elaborate. They have to back it up. They have to. And most people can't. Like I've tested this out because I've moderated writing groups and people love having opinions, let me tell you. Oh, this is showing too much, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, really? Okay, expand. Expand. I'd like to see you defend your position. They can't. They just can't. Most people cannot.
Oh, that lawyer news coming out.
It's just really frustrating because it's like it's people feel like they can give these opinions that writers are going to take seriously because they take their craft
Mm,
seriously, right? And again, it's very hard. When it comes to feedback from agents, frankly, unless an agent has read a very big chunk of your work, and they have the time to write feedback, I guess this is what I'm saying. As an agent, I will often say, I really like the premise, but this didn't grip me when I pass on a full. And I don't expand. And when I do, it's very minimal because again, I don't have the time to write a full editorial letter.
Mhm.
Like that would require too much brain power, too much time. I just don't have that capacity. And I think that it might just be an issue of agents not having the time to expand, so you won't actually know what they're saying. I doubt an agent said that they passed on a full because there was too much showing or too much telling. Like, did that happen? Because they read your pages. So, and they asked for full after reading your pages. So, I don't know. This is hard. I think it's very hard for me to answer these things without reading the pages.
Yes, and also too, like you say all the time, it's subjective too.
Yeah,
It,
yeah, yeah,
some
yeah.
of it is
Yeah.
subjective,
And
especially
Chelsea
when you're
seems to
getting
get that because she's
conflicting.
saying in the
Yeah.
chat, she's saying yes, and she said in her opinion, like which I appreciate. Um, I think it's just a matter of like Chelsea, when you read your work and when you compare your work, like highlight the
Hmm.
showing, highlight the telling, go to 10 books at to start, 10 books, and do the same thing in chapter one in your chapter. Are you telling too much? Maybe you are. Or is it not a matter of dosage? This is something that I talk about all the time. Like people think that what they're doing is too much or too little. They think it's dosage. 3 drops instead of 2 drops, 5 drops instead of 1 drop. Usually it's not dosage. Mistakes I see, usually it's the way you're executing, way more than dosage. Dosage is a thing, but dosage only becomes the thing to look at after you've developed the rest, you know?
Yeah. And here, since we're talking about craft, um, somebody was asking about strategies that you recommend to reveal interiority when writing in third person. First person, obviously, I feel
Nope.
this. Third
Nope.
third
Nope.
person,
Nope. Nope. Sorry, gonna interrupt you. There is no difference. There is no difference in the techniques. Zero difference. The difference is the pronouns. People think this is something we're going to cover on March 2nd. There's a big boxing glove on the slides, and then it says Mythbuster. Showing, not sorry, revealing interiority in the first person is different from the third. No, it is not. It is the same techniques, same everything. The pronouns change, that is it. If anyone is thinking, no, no, for me it's different. I can only do it. It's different for you. Like, you have a natural talent. Ellen Hilderbrand is famous for this. She says, I cannot access my protagonist's psyche unless it's in third, not with the depth she needs. Ellen, great. You know yourself, you're self aware, do it in third. Emily Giffin, the opposite. She needs it to be in first. I show this. I show sentences that are essentially the same techniques. First, third. It's their personal preference. So
yeah.
don't
And
assume
and
this. Don't
I
assume this.
yeah, and I tend to find I enjoy books in third more
Yeah,
than first.
there you go.
I
It's your
think it's
preference.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's hard for me to get into it.
Yeah.
It- you know, anyway, so that's great. I'm very excited about that class because I'm signed up for that one too.
Yay.
I'm a little bit of a junkie. Um, so any tips for an agented non-famous person on selling a memoir who doesn't want to write a hybrid book? If it is it near impossible to get a big five deal, even if one has a viral essay and has published a number of short pieces on themes in my memoir?
Um, it's not nearly impossible because if you take a look at Publishers Marketplace, memoirs are sold every day. So it's happening. The deals are happening. We're talking about non-celebrity memoirs, so probably not
Right.
every day, but every week for sure. Like, memoirs are sold every week, non-celebrity memoirs. So it's not impossible, but it is the hardest of the hard. Like on the list of like the hardest thing to sell, nonfiction, it's a memoir by a non-famous person because if you want to get mad at someone, get mad at readers maybe or maybe bookstores like when a bookstore when a bookstore buyer like a big buyer for Barnes and Noble, okay, when they're placing orders, they go through this big catalog. It's online now, but it used to be printed. They go through this big catalog where the covers are tiny little thumbnails, just a little bit on each book, and they don't have time to do this, so they go flip 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 to choose which books they want to stockpile, right? And they're at the same number of shelves for celebrity and non-celebrity. So you're competing with Britney Spears and Prince Harry and
Mhm.
I don't know, Michelle Obama. So like that's not fun. But yeah, it's hard.
Yes, very hard. And I remember listening to that that's the hard non-celebrity is the hardest to sell and
Yeah.
celebrity is the easiest to sell.
Yeah, and to be clear, we were reading a list that
Yeah.
an aspiring editor wrote on his Substack. On that
Mm-hmm.
respect, I actually agree with him. When it comes to the hardest to sell memoir, I agree. I agree because I've sold memoir. It's like pulling teeth, you know? Like it's actually like pulling teeth. Like it's so hard. I love it. I will never stop doing it, but you have to be really picky about it. So it's kind of like saying, is it nearly impossible to, win American Idol? No, but competition's fierce.
Yeah.
You know?
So do you have any like great craft books that you recommend or and
Hmm.
also like some of your favorite novels that you read this year?
Okay, the whole craft book thing, I struggle because I have read a lot of craft books and I think there are many good ones. I've read Save the Cat. I really like that. But I don't have anyone that's like a Bible for me because I think
Mm,
my Bible will always be reading 100 books, finding a pattern, not creating a technique, but highlighting a technique off that pattern. It's why I offer my courses, like, and it's
mm-hmm,
why I say in every single one of my courses, I am not teaching you. The authors are. Like, I've done the nerdy work of highlighting, compiling, presenting, but I'm not actually suggesting that I came up with, I don't know, the loose alliterations, a technique I show in my writing on a line level class, or curiosity seeds. Like I came up with the name curiosity seeds,
mm-hmm.
but I didn't invent curiosity seeds. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
And
I like Save the Cat. I'm trying to think if there's another craft book. I have it. I have them here. Um. Oh, I mean, this isn't a craft book though, so no, never mind. Um. Yeah, I don't think I have another one.
but one of the things I like about your classes is you point out things that um like subconsciously you might realize, but you consciously aren't realizing it. Like when you're reading, it's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that's what they're doing. And then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like the secret sauce.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so okay, so I've got a question for you. From one of my friends who is a Canadian writer. And she is South Asian background. So we were talking before about Hollywood, like, recently Hollywood seems to be moving a little bit away from, representation and of
Yeah.
marginalized actors. And there was an Asian Canadian actor who posted on Threads with frustration, put some Asians in literally anything right now. The amount of backslide in our representation on screen is appalling. And so he was talking about how, like, this actor was talking about how that, they're even though they've had all these, successful films, that Hollywood right now is thinking it's like maybe a little bit of a risky bet. So she's asking on the publishing side, do agents get the sense that big publishers feel that POC led books are a similarly risky bet right now, or have they always regarded them as risky? And from the perspective of a South Asian author who talks to a lot of South Asian author colleagues, we have not seen our books marketed with the same gusto as their counterparts, even when it's with the big five. And the biggest book talkers have a history of lacking representation in their picks, which then informs bookstore tables and the vicious cycle ensues.
Yeah.
So pairing that with own voices now no longer being a thing in book pitches, is representation something agents have to consider as they're building their client list?
So my understanding is that the term own voices is no longer being used, but the mission behind it is still very much at the forefront of pitches. And I just wanted to, I guess, share that understanding because I've had many people
Mm-hmm.
tell me like the fact that it's being used as a catch-all phrase was problematic, so let's stop doing that. But let's still find ways to, whenever we're pitching something, share the fact that there's a really unique take here from someone whose story we want to elevate, whether because they're from an underrepresented or misrepresented, historically speaking, background. Um, I I talked to a lot of editors about this, and I've heard mixed things, and I think that that's because everyone has different interpretations. The good news that is that, in my opinion, compared to Hollywood, book publishing is not as dire when it comes to this unfortunate regression. Regression, I think that's the word.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Compared to Hollywood. I have had editors tell me that they've been discouraged from pitching something as from a historically underrepresented background when it comes to talking to certain bosses. They can still do it and pursue it, but like before it used to be like kind of like a check mark in favor of the book. But now it's like, just don't talk about it. Just talk about how great of a story it is, because the bosses are a little. So I have heard a couple people say that to me, and then I've heard people say that no, that they're more fired up than ever,
Hmm.
that they still very much believe in this now more than ever. It's almost like they're saying they're even hungrier. So I think that this comes down to how much power the editor has in-house. Like there are editors. This is something about selling a book that it's one of the many things as agents that we navigate. There are editors who can buy whatever book they want. Like, yeah, they still have to pitch to their team. They have to go to the pub board meeting, but I promise you no one's gonna say no to them. Like they're
Hmm.
such stars and they have such power in-house. And so whenever I hear that, what I've just said from one of these editors, I go, oh, thank God, thank God, because they can actually do the good work. But then I've also heard from editors who don't have as much power, at least not yet, that they've been struggling. So it's a thing. And I don't like that it's a thing, but it is a thing.
Yeah, but it's an honest answer.
Yeah.
And pretending it's not a thing isn't going to help.
No,
So,
it'll just make it
so
worse.
yeah. Sonia asked, this is just a side note. Do you do any one-on-one consultations?
I don't. I used to, and I did it for many, many years. I stopped for myriad reasons. It just got to be too much. There were other reasons too. But I liked that I did it for so long because
Mm,
it helped me. It helped me understand certain traits that authors possess that keep them from writing better stories than and
mm,
then the inverse too, which is traits authors possess that will lead them to success. And I wouldn't have gotten that if I wasn't talking to them because all I would have are my clients to go by. So
yeah.
I'm glad I did it for so long, but I don't anymore.
And when you talk about the traits and the things that lead to success, your writers, your clients, and
Yeah.
the productivity and their writing practices, um, can maybe share some tips with people. What is your average client like? What does their writing day look like? I mean, are they like how productive are they? How many books are they pumping out and how quickly? And all of that.
Really depends on the client, I think. I think that's the problem. Like I have clients
Mm,
who because I have clients who have like 3 kids, a day job. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like it's
yeah.
like they're super productive. They're just as productive as the person without 3 kids, and a day job. But productivity just looks different for each person. It really depends. What I will say though is that like what I care about more than productivity are the soft skills that you need to be a success in this industry. It's not that having these soft skills will guarantee success, but not having these soft skills will guarantee failure. And it
Hmm.
comes down to things like, and this is why it's so hard. You have to embody all these contradictions. Like you have to be sensitive and soft and like a warm person. A sensitive person is really but you also have to be tough and take critique. Another thing you need to have, which is so important, is impulse control. There will be many moments in your life as an author where you will want to not exercise impulse control. I have many moments, many, many. Find a way. Find a way to curb your instincts when it comes to these moments, these high emotionally charged moments. It's really important. And then another thing I think too is understanding that unfortunately, because of the nature of publishing is an oligopsony, which is a very fancy word for a market with 5 buyers, essentially, and like hundreds of sellers. Five is a lie. We have more than a five, but like very few buyers and many, many, many sellers. Understanding that nature of publishing, the oligopsony nature, oligopsonistic, maybe that's a word, is
It is
essential.
tonight.
It is tonight because it's essential because you'll create realistic expectations. Like publishing operates in a venture capital model. Publishing, if a publisher buys a book, this always shocks people. If a publisher buys a book for $500,000, $500,000, okay, and the author is just not like being a diva, like being difficult, like for whatever reason, maybe it's not even the author's fault, but for whatever reason, they're just not feeling that book after buying it. Once they bought it, they thought it was going to be big or they wouldn't have paid 500,000. But then a year later, before the book comes out, they're like, whatever. Maybe the editor left. I don't know. What they will do is they will take the loss. so many authors struggle. I explain this to them. I say, this is your book. You have to take the lead. You have to care about it more than everyone else. I will be a close second, but I will be a second. Like you have to be at the forefront of this. And they go, they're not going to abandon the book now that they've paid me so much money. And I'm like, I have seen it happen before. Like it happens. The editors aren't losing money. The publicists aren't
Mm.
losing. Like it's not personal to them. They take the write off and they're fine. They're fine. So what is the name? Hold on. What is the name of the book that I'm thinking? Oh, Courtney Mom's Before and After the Book Deal. She has a line where she says, "No one's going to care more about your book than you will." And people understand that theoretically, but they don't embody it. You know? They don't embody it. And publishing is so hard that it's very easy to fall into like either like the self-blame trap, which leads to shame. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Or the external blame tendency, which leads to entitlement. Like publishing is broken, and so I don't have to. And if you want to play this game, nobody has to want to play it. I hope people do, but nobody has to. It's capitalism. It's life under capitalism, and you kind of have to understand that. You can't treat it like school.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a ton of questions about comps. Like, okay, rattling
Are we
off
okay
like
to go
pen.
over time because of my rudeness?
Yes.
Because I was
No, it
late. I'm
wasn't
so
your rudeness. It
sorry.
was Zoom.
I'm so sorry. I'm
Zoom.
so sorry.
Zoom is rude. Um, so for comps, like, can they use a TV show?
Yeah, of
If
course. I love TV shows as comps. Love,
yeah,
love, love.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I feel like everybody knows the and also too, can I just ask you a
Yeah.
question with the comps? About the comps, and you're finding some mid-list comp somewhere, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't know the comp. Do you is that why they ask for two? Because maybe you would know one of them. Like I've always been curious. Like, how does an agent know
Oh, I don't
every book
know
out
all
there?
comps that I
Right.
sign. No, no, that's fine. Oh, but that's fine
Yeah.
though. But if I read the story and I love it, I'll go look up the
Mm-hmm.
comps.
Yeah.
Like it's okay.
Yeah.
Like in
Okay.
fact, I'm fairly certain some people make up comps because I don't check them if I don't want to sign the client, and I only want to sign a few clients. If
And
anyone
are
has
you
questions about comps and we have time, I'm very happy to look up book sales for you guys if you guys are curious. I can fire up
okay?
a book scan.
And also too, like with the comps, like is it just that you want traditionally published, like no self-published, because you probably that a little
Self-published is okay
tricky?
if it's broken out, but we're talking like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're
Yeah.
talking like huge sales, huge sales. Like if it's a self-published title that everyone knows about and that it's then sure, but if
Yeah.
it's self, you don't want to use a comp that doesn't have good sales. Like if you tell me that your book is X meets Y and X has sold 300 copies, Y has sold 400 copies, I'm gonna go like I'm not actually going to do that because I'll just come up with better comps if I love the story. But there are
Mm-hmm.
agents, and I respect this decision because they are well established into their careers. They do not need more clients. They already make a ton of money from the clients they already have. There are agents who won't even look at a query letter like that. So you don't want to set yourself up for failure, I guess.
Yeah. How do you address a story that's in a blended genre when querying?
Oh, this is such a great question. First, try to find a blended genre comp because it helps. If you can't do that, be totally shameless about the fact that it's a genre blend. I'm querying you for my uh, genre blend rom-com thriller. I'm querying you for my, I can't say that word. What's the word for horror and romance? Horror romance? Like, very hard word.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think I could help you with that one.
yeah. So, like, just be shameless about it. Be upfront, is what I'm saying. It's not even shameless, it's upfront. Be like, I am querying you for my genre blend of, you know,
As long as you don't
no,
say
there's a
romance
word.
horror.
There's a word for it. June is saying romantic horror. No, there's one word. Kind of like romantasy is
Okay.
like a new word. It's a neologism. Like there's a word for it. Yes, but how do you
Mm.
pronounce it? Amanda's saying it, but how do you pronounce it? Horromance? Because that just sounds like I'm saying a bad word. No, it's
Yeah, it
not horror
does.
romance. It's not horror. Is it horror romance? I don't know how to
I
say
don't
it though.
know.
Whatever.
I don't know. Okay, so you guys just did an episode on the podcast about agents and editors and how the relationship between agents and editors and that, how could you uncover whether an agent is one of that the editors don't want to work with and has a bad
Oh,
reputation?
this is
Probably
this is really
can't.
hard. I don't think you can. It's really hard to uncover because there are agents that I found out are. So we call it that. So it's not we, an acquiring editor. three different acquiring editors told me about the same agent. And they call it the name, I'm not going to say the name, tax. Like one of them described to me that she walked into a meeting with a manuscript she was loving, like loving. And it was from this agent. And she was talking about the story, and then everyone was like, okay. And she's someone who has like great taste, has power, is established. She could buy whatever she wanted, okay? And she was like, but at the end, she's like, but it's from this human. And everyone was like, this person's very difficult to work with, like very difficult. Um, and so her boss, who again would let her buy anything, her boss said, just think about it for like a night, like sleep on it. And if it's worth it, go for it. But remember, you will be signing on to work with person for years. And she decided not to do it. You know,
Mm,
it was like, no,
yeah.
I can't do it. It's too hard. Now, there are agents who people are like, oh my God, working with them is really hard and I don't want to, but they still will. Um, I mean, that's true for every case, I guess, because they can't afford not to, but
Mm,
it makes life harder. Like it just makes life
hmm.
harder. So
Yeah.
I don't think you can find out though. I feel bad because like how could you? Like we can't make a list, you know? And
I
also if
mean,
people did make a list, they could like lie on the list and put perfectly lovely agents on the list, you know? There'd be no
yeah.
oversight.
Like when I had a motel, I used to have a bitch list of people I would not let stay, come back. They were horrible.
I
Oh,
love it.
whatever. But you could do that when you're a tiny little motel, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't like the Hilton making a list, you know.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
I know it's funny. Uh, so okay, so we've got a pretty big Australian crowd
Yay.
between screenwriting and novel writing. So we've got somebody asking, they've written a speculative fiction fantasy and based in Australia. And I know there are a few other Australians in here as well. Generally, fantasy is a very hard sell in Australia. And I've been
Oh,
given the advice to look in the US and the UK. Is
okay.
there any like suggestions or advice you have for somebody who lives in another country looking for representation here?
Doesn't matter at all to us. We don't care
Okay.
where you live. Like we just don't care. Don't worry about it at all. I'm not going to say there isn't an inherent advantage. Like we're talking cherry on top of a sundae, okay? No one's going to not want the sundae because of it. If you like if you're in New York and you know all these people and you're well connected, it's going to be like, "Yay, and this person has this." But like nobody cares. Like we're totally fine with wherever you are in the world. Actually, like please don't be discouraged by that. You don't even have to mention it in your query letter if you don't want to, though you can. Like I do not care where my clients are. As long as I can talk to them and email them, I don't care.
Yeah. And what I like about Australian people is like they're up right now. They're it's like great. So okay, so here's a question of somebody who's like hybrid publishing. So they've got a hybrid published book and it's won a dozen awards and straight five-star reviews and do they have any chance of getting picked up by an agent or a publisher to reach a wider audience?
So people who are published by hybrids or self-published do have agents knocking on their door when their book sells really, 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 really well. We're talking very high bar. So unless your book is in that category, probably not. You're talking about for a new book or because I thought we were talking about the same book.
Yeah, I think she's talking about the same book. Like if it,
Very,
and
very
I
rare. Very
yeah,
rare. Almost impossible. Not impossible, but almost impossible.
okay.
I get sad.
Um,
Thanks. But yeah.
important questions that a debut author should ask a prospective agent.
Important questions that a debut author, but at what stage? At the like a
Um,
conference, like
I'm
at the call,
thinking if
like
I'm thinking that I would assume that they're asking questions they should ask if the agent has reached out and said, I'm interested in representing
okay,
you. Let's have
okay.
a call.
Oh gosh, so
And
many
then
questions. Yeah.
yeah.
So there's questions about the working style, you know, like what can I expect working from you? Can you talk a little bit about your working style? Like I know an agent. They actually not an agent anymore, but they were like big on I do not do phone calls. I do not like phone calls. I'm an email person. I don't want phone calls. This is rare, by the way. Most agents are very flexible, but ask about like, do you have a communication preference? How long is it going to take to hear back from you typically when I send you my full manuscript? Like, do you usually confirm receipt? Like, just ask about working style questions. As many as you want, whatever you want. Ask them to describe their working style, you know, ask them to say like what things they value. Ask them like a question I really like, and not a lot of people ask me, is what do your clients do to set you up for success as an agent other than write a
Mm.
great story? Like what do your very best clients do? And what do they do that gets in your way? Like these, that's a really great question that very few people actually ask me. I still volunteer the information even though they don't ask me. But I go, hey, like these are the things you can do to make my life, not my life easier, but like it helps me achieve success for you. You
Hmm.
can't do it a ton, but like these are the things you can do. And
Can you tell
then
us what those are?
there's so it just again depends. I would say it depending on the project, but like
Okay.
one of these things is like be really realistic when it comes to your to estimating your turnaround. Because
Hmm.
so many people are they think I don't know why they think this, but they think like, oh, if I manage to get this back to her in 2 weeks, she's gonna be so impressed. No, I'm not. First of all, I'm suspicious of anyone who can do edits in 2 weeks. But also, I do you know what I'm saying? Like speed is not something that people particularly value in this industry. So don't think
Hmm.
anyway. I think another question too that I would ask is what happens if this book doesn't sell? Like what happens then? What are we gonna do? I would ask to speak to clients. I'm shocked more people don't. I always offer, do you want to speak to my clients? But a question everyone should ask of an agent, everyone is, may I please speak to two or three of your clients and an extra client, and I want at least one of them to be a client whose book you did not sell. And then
Ooh.
when you talk to this person, ask them, how did it go? There are too many agents out there who, book doesn't sell, they drop the client, they don't care. And I'm not saying that's unfair because I suppose there is an argument to be made for like book didn't sell, they get to drop the client, just like the client would get to drop the agent if they wanted to. But I don't like it. I don't think it sits well in my heart. If the only reason, of course, is that it didn't sell, right? Like if there are other reasons, like the working relationship isn't working, whatever. But so I would want to see how this agent treats not only their superstars, but the people who aren't stars yet. I think that's really important too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you were talking about things not happening quickly, there's somebody saying that he pitched a novel at a writing conference to an agent, and she asked for the full manuscript. She said to
Yay.
take her time, take his time. She knew that he would want to make changes. It took a year to do the rewrite, and I emailed it to her in September. She hasn't replied. Should I try to contact her another way?
She hasn't replied in September. Yes, try to contact her. Yes, no, listen, yes, absolutely yes. Um, it's totally fine. I've had people send me manuscripts over a year after I asked them for it. And it like I don't mind waiting at all. What I mind is getting something that something isn't ready. Like that I mind. And what usually leads to rejection. So I will mind it, you will mind it. But the waiting part I don't mind. But like September, yes. Unless they mean that she confirmed receipt, said she would read it, and then hasn't gotten back to them. In which case I would still think it's fair to follow up. It's January. But then I'm not saying like yes, I'm saying yes, you can follow up. But if she hasn't even confirmed receipt, yes, please contact this person, in the loveliest way, but do it.
So, Susan's asking, are agents like yourself interested in writers who write both fiction and film? I've adapted one of my own short stories into a feature and then received accolades from some high-profile competitions. Is this worth mentioning in a query letter?
There's no problem mentioning it. Like it's not like it's a fun fact. I think it depends on how long your author bio is. If your author bio is very short, yes. If your author bio is already long enough and you don't want to cut other stuff, no. It would never make me sign someone. Like that's the thing about author bios. There's nothing in an author bio that's gonna make someone say yes. I mean, nothing. Very few things. It's about the story. And if agents are interested in, so I don't sell like original scripts. I don't. Very few agents do it themselves. What I do and what many agents do is we partner up with film and TV co-agents, and I just split my commission. Client pays the same commission, but I split it with a film TV co-agent. There are agencies that have film TV departments. In my experience, based on what I've heard from agents who have worked at these agencies, not myself, but other agents, it's not as it doesn't work as well as doing the co-agenting situation for a very clear reason. When you have a film and TV department within a literary agency, it's very hard for that film TV department to compete with the big agencies. It just is,
Mhm.
you know? But when you partner up with a big agency on the film TV side, then you're not competing with them. They become your partner. So um, it's totally fine. I guess I would just a lot of people think it's like a big flex, and to me, it's not unless I've already loved your story. So I would just start with the story, you know?
Okay. We've got a few questions in here about social media presence. How important
Oh,
is it? And do you ever look at those, the follower counts and stuff like that?
for fiction, do not care at all. I will check out people's social media to make sure they're not like a neo-Nazi or something. Um, not interested in working with those, but like if they like I've signed people like Annamelli, who wrote My Mother Cursed My Name, had zero social media, like zero social media when I signed her. And I mean zero. And then when I signed her, I was like, look, will you be willing to be on social media once your book comes out? Like, assuming we sell it, right? This was very initial. And she said, absolutely, I'm willing to do it. I'm really shy, so I wouldn't want my face too much. I'm like, that's fine. But like, are you okay, like posting pictures of books and stuff? She's like, yeah, I can do it. So I was like, okay, let's revisit this conversation, if and when your book sells. So when we sold her book was sold at Preempt to Atria for six figures. Um, the editor who's like, this editor has left publishing. I'm very sad now because I just realized this. But this editor, good friend of mine, I was talking to Annamelli about her pitching her book, and I was like, and she has the thing you love, which is no social media presence. Because this editor is someone who loves building a presence with someone. She says it's much easier to start from scratch than to like get a social media that's kind of wonky. Obviously, if you have a perfect polished one, then that's the ideal situation. But like she's like, it's actually easier to just teach someone from the ground up. So yeah, it's totally fine if it's fiction. If it's nonfiction and you are pitching an expert book. Oh, what I just said about fiction counts for memoir too. But if it's nonfiction, like a book about emotional regulation, you're an expert on emotional regulation, then you need to show that you're an expert in some way. Social media is one way to do it, but it's not the only way.
Okay, so we've got a question from John. I've just written my debut novel after a career in law and technology. I've researched the industry, including agents and the genres they're interested. My impression is that, unlike many industries, male authors writing on topics that do not offer a point of view from an underrepresented group are at a disadvantage. Do you have any perspective on the fiction book market from male authors?
I personally don't think they're at a disadvantage. It's possible this is a blind spot of mine. It's just that I keep seeing so many deals by authors who fit that description. So I don't think that's a thing. I think that what's happening is that there are more deals from people with of different backgrounds because we're trying to,
Mhm.
correct for the past, and then that might cause that false impression. Again, that's just my 2 cents. Um, the last part of the question was, do I have insight
Yeah,
on
just like the male author, if they're having challenges at the moment.
I mean, again, I don't think so. Because I think that no, I don't think so. That's just my take. Yeah.
And when I go to writing conferences, I see a ton of male authors who have published, traditionally published. They're attend in attendance a lot. Um, we wish you luck. Um, the agents that the editors that you talked about who can basically buy anything, are those usually ones that just work with like well-established authors?
No, no. In fact, the one I thought of when I was talking about the loves a debut. Loves. So no, not at all. They do also work with established authors, but no, they love debuts. Publishing loves a debut. There's like no, if you have a fantastic story, and I'm talking fantastic,
Hmm.
there's no better position than to be a debut. It is actually better to have that than to be an established author. It's insane, but it's how publishing works.
Do you think it's because they want to be the one to discover them?
I think that's the psychological unconscious part of it, but I actually think it's a P&L thing. So when we build a profit and loss statement and you don't have a track record, there's
Hmm.
nothing to stop you. There's no, what about this book? This book barely sold. Oh, what about this thing? Like there's not like you are untouched snow, you know? Like there's no bad track record that you have to input in the P&L. And if someone's thinking to themselves, well, what about people who don't have a bad track record? That's way better, of course. But those people have a sales guaranteed anyway, because they have a good track
Hmm.
record. And if this new story is so different, like so amazing, so great, bookstores will prefer a debut because you're not up against. Okay, I'm trying to think of an example. Do you know when Ken Follett wrote Pillars of the Earth? That was so different from
Yep.
his previous books. There were people who were like
Yes.
conspiracy theorists being like, he didn't write that. It's almost like it's harder to market that. Like it's harder to market if it's a
Mm-hmm.
genre switch or even something that's a little different. So yeah, our industry is very unfair in many ways. The like insistence on things being debut is one of them. Because people get better with time, you know,
Yeah.
but it loves a debut.
But also, even with screenwriting, we talked about Ken, um, and Pillars of the Earth. Like in screenwriting, they want you to be in that same genre. For they want to know you're this genre person, you know. So to switch genres is difficult, even in that space. Okay, so you talked about comps and sales numbers. Um, I've got a couple questions on that. One was, how does the average Joe who doesn't have access to that stuff find those things out? Like, how would we know how many books
Oh
something
God, this is
sold?
hard because I have access.
I
So I don't
know.
know. I think you like go by ratings on Goodreads, you know?
Yeah,
Like, but I
I
don't know what
do.
the formula is. But like
Yeah.
check out ratings, check out reviews. Um, I just don't like this is a hard one because I don't have that problem. And I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm just trying to like recognize my own privilege here, you know?
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
have access to book sales.
And when you talked about too about you know, when you get advances and stuff, can we talk a little bit about that and what happens if you don't earn out? Like
Oh
how
yeah,
is,
for sure.
you know?
It depends on like what is the situation when you didn't earn out. You know, if you didn't earn out a $30,000 advance, that's a different situation from you didn't earn out a $500,000 advance,
Mm-hmm.
especially given the same period of time. You know, 2 years later you haven't earned out 30,000 is very different from 2 years later you haven't earned out half a million. Very few people actually earn out half a million in 2 years. It's almost impossible. Something to keep in mind is the publisher does. People think, I don't know why they think this. Publishers start making money once authors earn out their advance. That is false. That is false. I repeat, that is false. Publishers start making money way before authors earn out their advance because authors earn out their advance at the rate of the royalties they receive, and their royalties are only 10%, 12%, 15%, maybe, you know? So a back of the napkin calculation, which is again back of the napkin, is once you've reached out half of your advance, you typically earned out. Sorry, typically they start making money. That's what I meant to say. But again, this depends. It depends on a million factors. So not earning out in advance does not mean you haven't made the publisher money. Like that is just not what it means. Um, if you don't earn out your advance, it depends. It depends on like give me if you want to give me like a case, like how long has it been? And their new book, is it the same as their first, like same genre, same everything, or it is like a new situation? Do you know what I'm saying? Because there's so many variables.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you want me to talk
Mm-hmm.
about a case I've seen? Do you want to maybe try to soft pitch me
Yeah.
a case so I can, because I don't
Yeah.
know if
I
this
mean,
person who asked this question has like a specific in mind.
oh no, that was just me. Like, I just want to know about like comps and
Okay.
earning out. Like, you know, people are talking about, oh, I don't want to, if I get a big, if I get offered, like, should I take the big number? Should I take the little number? Is it better
You
to
should
be
you
able
should
to
take whatever.
say,
You should take the big number, unless there's a very good reason to take the little number. Don't take the little number because you're afraid of not earning out. Don't do that.
mm-hmm,
Okay. Like I'm not saying take the big number if there's another reason, but if that's the reason, don't do that. Here's what I've seen. Situation one, advance was 75,000. Author did not earn it out. This was, when I say did not earn it out, I mean like 7 months later had not earned it out. But the book had sold 10,000 copies, which is a great, great, great number.
mm-hmm,
Like again, for the book, for the everything's for the category for the um, author was ready to pitch the second book. There's an option in the contract. 99% of publishing contracts have an option. So we sent it to the publisher. The publisher said, we'll match the first advance. Like we'll give you the same 75,000. We were like, no, it's worth more. It was worth more. It just was. Like I read the story and I'm like, this is amazing, you know? Um, and they were like, well, we can't because we haven't earned out. And I'm like, you know, you aren't not supposed to earn out in 6 months. Like just play the long game and keep investing in this offer and it will pay off. But like this whole like, oh, you haven't earned out your advance thing 6 months later. Like, would you tell a 7-year old that they have like growth issues just because they're not like at the height that they should be when they're 18? No, like just it just takes time, you know, like they're still growing. So
mm-hmm.
really bad analogy. Anyway, so we said that and the publisher was like holding firm, all we can do is match. Can't do anything. And by the way, the fact that they even matched is good because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of publishers would just be like, we don't want the second book. But the second book was really good. So talked to my client and, she was like, what do we do? And I'm like, well, I'm going to tell you what I think we should do, but like, we do whatever you want. It's always whatever you want. As long as you don't want to do like horrible illegal things, like go murder the publishers. We're not doing that, people. We might want to, but we're not allowed to.
Refrain.
Um, so I said to my client, I think that we should go out with this. I think it's strong. I think it's amazing. And I think we'll get more in the open market. I think we should turn down their 75 thousand offer. And I'm very lucky that this client is someone who is just she's very good at managing her own emotions. Again, soft skills. She has strategic vision. She's very ambitious. Like she's not the kind of client who would blame me if it didn't work out. She would know that it's a risk. And she's one of those clients who would rather swing and, swing for the fences and really try. So we went out with it and it sold for over 200. So it was a great situation, great, amazing. So I'm thinking of another case. This is another case where advance was six figures. Book did not earn out. I think it was like 8 months later. Second book was very different from the first book, like very different. So good, but very different. Pitched it to the publisher. The publisher said, I can't make a good offer for this. Like, if I make an offer, it's going to be for substantially less. Would you consider that? And I said, look, I'm not going to tell you not to send an offer, but I will tell you that I will tell my client not to take it. But whatever they do is their problem. Like I cannot speak for my clients. I can tell you what my advice is going to be. Then the publisher came back and offered, I forget what it was, but it was something like 65,000. And again, first book hadn't done well. And I was like, I don't think we should take it because I think it's not like I don't think you should do this to your career. But like if you want to take it, you want to take it. Um, Author decided to take it. Author took it. Editor left 2 months later. My client freaked out, like freaked out. It was like begging to have the deal canceled. The contract hadn't even arrived yet. Deal was canceled. Like this is almost unheard of. We managed to actually like cancel the deal. Like, and there was other situations that made this possible. The imprint folded. It was this whole thing.
Hmm.
Sold the book, um, for substantially more, like more than double what we got for the first one to a totally
Hmm.
different house. So she actually knows, like you never know what it would have been if you had chosen door B. She actually knows what it would have been because we got to cancel the deal. So, and then there are cases like I'm telling you guys stories that have happy endings, but there are cases where don't have happy endings.
Yeah.
There are cases where author doesn't earn out the advance, publisher doesn't make an offer, passes. I've seen that happen too. Publisher says we can't make an investment on this again. And we go out and we don't sell it. And it's heartbreaking. And that's very sad, but it happens.
Well, I'm going to ask you one more question and then we're going to talk about what your upcoming class. Because thank you so much for staying with us.
Of
Um,
course.
you have made a lot of changes this year, changing agencies and
Yeah.
everything. And I don't know if you're going to the gym or not, but
Wait,
maybe.
wait, hold on. Hold on. Look, guys, look.
Oh my
I got
God.
weight and I can do it. Look, I'm very strong. It's very heavy.
Awesome.
Very heavy. I can't do it for a long time. Very heavy.
Awesome. I'm
Anyway.
very proud of you. So with all those changes that you've had in this year, what is the biggest lesson you learned?
Oh my God, that's such a big question.
Lay down on the therapy couch.
Can I say one of them? Because I'm
Yes.
allergic to absolutism. Okay, do you know that truism, don't take criticism from someone that you wouldn't go to advice to for advice to?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a spin on that. Like, I think the biggest lesson I learned is that me, and this is very specific to me, my emotional makeup, I needed to be at a place. No, I don't want to say this in a controversial way. I'm trying to be respectful. I think the biggest lesson I learned was to trust my instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I have always wanted to work with a team that possessed certain qualities that I thought could coexist in people, like being very sharky and very nurturing. Like I consider myself to be very sharky, but also very nurturing. Like not as sharky as I want to be. I'm growing as an agent, and possibly not as nurturing either. But I still think that I embody contradictory traits, and I wanted that surrounding me too, from my boss. And I think there was a little voice inside my head that was like, "You can't have it all. Stop wanting it all. You know, stop it. Stop it. You're just you're a difficult person. Stop it." And I'm very glad I didn't listen to that voice.
Yeah.
Because you can have it all. You can. It might look different from what you thought it would look like, and it might happen in a
Hmm.
different moment. It almost certainly will. And it might come after hurdles and speed bumps and, detours. But you can absolutely have it all. Just don't settle. So cheesy, right? But it's true. I actually feel very strongly about this. Like, I'm so happy. Like, it was so scary to make big changes. So scary. But I'm so happy that I did it because it's like, it's that feeling of being where you need to be. And
Hmm.
trusting too that the people who do care about you, they're not going to hold it against you or be mad at you. Like when I left my former agency, so many people were like, and I'm not blaming them, but they were like,
Hmm.
what happens to the podcast? And I'm like, guys, like Carly and Bianca are still my people, like Bianca's still my client. Bianca came with me, obviously, but like, look at me saying obviously, but yes, genuinely, obviously. But like Carly and I are still friends. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're still
Hmm.
we're still us, and I think the people who love and support you are gonna love and support you throughout all the changes in your life, and they'll get it. They might not relate to it, they might not feel the same way, but they will get you, and they'll get it.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
that's what it is.
You do seem very happy
Very happy. Like so
when
happy.
you're not wearing your little Grinch hat,
Oh, wait, where's my Grinch hat? I have so many props, guys. Okay, you go.
right?
I did say a lot of Grinchy things and I didn't put it on. I should put it
I
on.
know. I saw this at the supermarket and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get this.
It's so cute, right? It's
I
so
know,
cute.
right? So for anybody who's considering taking CeCe's class, she's what I love about her style, her teaching style, is one of the things that we do at Pipeline. I always tell my writers for Pipeline artists and anybody who wants to present for Symposium, I always tell them here's the rule. You have to tell people what they need to hear, not what you think they want to hear. And as soon as I took CeCe's first class, I was like, ding, 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 ding. I have to have her on because we learn so much more when and it's so much quicker too, when people aren't just like blowing smoke up our ass and are telling us the truth. Why wouldn't you want to hear the truth?
Yeah.
Anyway, I love them. I love your classes. And
Oh, thank
so,
you. It's so fun.
yes. And so in March, so that's why I'm sharing her with you.
Aw.
So in March, she has a class coming up called Writing Interiority and Psychological Acuity. And my daughter's a therapist, so I'm very fascinated to
Yeah.
take this class.
Yes.
And
So, for a very important caveat, this class is going to teach you the opposite of therapy. Therapy is about
mhm,
healing, right? Psychological acuity is about making things interesting and curiosity inducing. So, different things.
awesome. Very different things. I'm very excited about it. And there's also a business insight for writers, which I think right now you're offering with the writing
Yes.
interiority
So I am going
skill.
to teach a 1-day course called Business Insights for Ambitious Writers in April. Do not remember the date. I'm sorry. And
I don't either.
it will be available, for registration as a solo course. But right now it's not. Right now, if you buy psychological acuity, writing interiority and psychological acuity, you automatically get business insights. But if anyone's like, I don't want to take interiority or psychological acuity, I'm just not interested, but I might be interested in the other one, it will
Mhm,
be open for registration. I don't know when, but like in a few weeks. The reason is because there's a limit. There's like a I want that class to not be huge because I want to do interactive
mhm,
things. And so
mhm.
I need to prioritize my students who are taking this other class with me. But yeah, but that will be available as a solo course.
And I'm gonna put all the CC links in the recording email to you guys. So you're gonna get all this stuff. So don't worry about it. I'll don't Googling the links. I'll find them for you. So and then I also just as a pipeline plug, I want to tell you what we've got coming up in the next couple weeks. Um, Julia Green is going to teach finishing your project this year. So teaching you how to not procrastinate, get it done. And then we have a
That's
book
important.
idea work. Yes, we have a book idea workshop coming up, critical steps to elevating your idea. Polish Like a Pro, Self-Editing Strategies for Aspiring Authors with Sarah Weigel, Nailing Your Pitch, and the one that's my favorite session we have multiple times a year, and this one we do not offer on demand because we don't want to share people's intellectual property. It's a logline workshop, and Meredith Allen, it's like your little elevator pitch for the novelist. Logline workshop can be for either screenwriters or novelists. And it's that one sentence line that says, this is what my book is about. Like, this is the hook. And
Yeah. Yeah.
she does an amazing job on the fly workshopping log lines. I don't know how she does it because that's a hard thing to do.
That sounds
So
really awesome. I love all these
it,
things.
it is awesome. I'll send you a link if you want.
Yeah. Do it. Do it.
Okay. Okay, I will. Well, thank you so much, CeCe. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I'm sorry that we had those
No,
little
I'm
tech
sorry.
demons.
Truly, it's me. I'm the one who's haunted. I'm so, so sorry. Like the idea that you guys were waiting for me, like it makes me feel so
No,
terrible.
but we actually had a little fun. We did a little impromptu
Well, we'll
AMA.
have to do it again, and when we do it, I will be on time because we'll do a system where I don't
I'll
know, like
triple check.
yeah, you know what we're gonna do for the next system,
Yeah. What?
next session. I'm assuming it's gonna be a next session.
Yes, yes.
I'm going to email you. Hey, my invitation says this time. So that's what we're gonna do. But then the ghost is gonna find a way around it. I don't know. We're gonna find a way to exercise the ghost.
No.
That's what we're
And I'm gonna put my ghosts on it. I'm gonna
gonna
make
do.
them
It.
like
Do it.
get rid of this. Well,
Do
thank
it.
you so much. Really
Thank you. Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
everyone. I really, really loved talking to all of you, and thank you so much for having me. If you do consider, if you are looking for an agent, I am very hungry for new clients, but there's also a lot of great agents at my agency who are very hungry for new clients. We're very collaborative, we share. So if anyone's like, I really like you, CC, but I would much prefer XYZ agent, Kelly or Charisse or Wendy or Laura, please know that like we are very collaborative as a team, and I'm not holding like I'm not going to take anything personally. I'm thrilled to receive queries, but I'm also thrilled for my colleagues to receive queries.
And if you want to know a little bit about her colleagues and their personalities, you did a bonus episode with your team
Yes,
on the
yes,
podcast.
it's true. It's true. And they're
Yeah.
so cool. Like they're all so cool. Yeah. And I've already convinced them in 2026 to share more content on social media that's specific about
Mm,
their personality. So yes. So it's
that's a
called
good
Wendy
idea.
Sherman Associates. Someone's asking about the agency. So when you Google Wendy Sherman, though, it's very important. The former Deputy Secretary of State is also called Wendy Sherman. We're not talking about the same person, guys, okay? Google Wendy Sherman Associates Literary Agency, and then you'll find it. You'll find it.
And I will put a link in the recording email to it too, as well as a
Yeah,
direct link to their submission guidelines,
yeah.
because you're going to want to follow them.
Yes, please follow them. Yes.
Please
Okay.
follow
Thank you
them.
so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
And I'm sorry
you.
again. Thank you so
Oh,
much.